Hello there guys, Francis Gray here, and as the time of recording this video it is October, which means Spooky Mama month. And me personally, it's my favourite time of year because it usually means I get to work on something horror related. Yay! So with today I thought we could have a fun Halloween challenge. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to arm myself with just £1 and I'm going to go into my local town centre and I'm going to see what I can find for just £1 or less. And I'm going to bring it home and then we're going to customise it into a one-off Halloween display. I'll see you after this. Okay guys, so I bought this from a local charity shop and as you can see there it looks very witch's cauldron-ish in nature. And I paid a grand total of, drumroll please, 99p, so absolute bargain. So I don't know who's made by, it says underneath Foster's Studio 8 Cornwall, England pottery, so I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but yeah, I think this will work really nice. So the plan is I'm gonna keep the normal shine or the normal paint job to the colour. It looks fine as is, and I don't think like a black would do any favours. I think it's nice as it is, so I'm gonna leave that. So the inside is very dull, as you can see there. So the idea is I'm going to 3D create a file that'll print, and I can place it in place and then it'll make it look like a witch's brew. So some stuff poking out of it, like maybe a hand, maybe a bunch of material, maybe a skull, that might be cool. So just as long as it gets across horror, I suppose, or Halloween. So without further ado, let's put this to one side and let's go to creating a nice STL file. Step 1. STL file. Okay guys, so I started off by going to thingiverse.com and I found a free file to download, originally created and uploaded by a user called Mad Goblin Miniatures. And as you can see there, it's a witch's cauldron and it's bubbling nicely. So we obviously don't need the cauldron itself, we just need the bubbling part. So after downloading this, I went into a software called Matter Control, and then I decided to cut away at the original STL file, so I only had the bubbling mixture on the inside first. As you can see there, that's still way too big, so I ended up slicing a good portion off the bottom, so we've just got a basic round STL file, and then we can save that and then we can start thinking about adding some extras. So I decided to go with the skull idea. I just thought it would visually stand out more than just like bits and bobs. So yeah, so I got a separate STL file from, I downloaded that years ago. I don't even know who the original creator was, so apologies if you see your work here. And then I just decided to incorporate the skull into the witch's brew, and once I was happy with it all, I then saved it as a separate STL file, and now we're ready to go ahead and print it. Step 2. Printing the file. Okay guys, so the main file's getting printed in the middle there. Now ignore the other two things, well the four things on the sides. Those are two a completely different build. I just thought it would be easier to print it all in one go than it do it separate. So ignore those. But as you can see there, here it is, all printed off and finished. So let's carefully get this off the build plate and take it to the workstation and we can get filing. Step 3. Work on the print. Okay guys, so here it is, all printed off, and that looks brilliant. So let's have a quick comparison. Okay, that looks like at first glance that will go in there rather well.
Nope.
So let's go ahead and clean all this brim off, and then let's see what we're left with.
One weekend of pampering later.
Okay guys, so you see there, it now fits rather nicely. So we're going to go into the spray booth and get some grey primer, and I'm going to give it at least 2 coats of grey primer, leave that to dry, and then I'm going to go in with a very vibrant green, and this is going to be a lovely base tone coat to the STL file. So now that that is dried, let's go ahead and add it. Okay guys, so after leaving that a good few hours to fully dry, we've got a nice bright green base coat. So already this is kind of looking witch's brewish. So for the next stage I'm going to go in with a model airbrush paint, and this is a medium yellow. So for the next part I'm going to go in with just some regular normal everyday super glue, and I'm going to put some around the brim of the STL file print, and then we're going to sit that in place and we're going to leave it a good few hours to fully dry.
1 hour later!
Okay guys, so now that that is nicely dried in place, as you can see here we have the odd seam line that runs all the way around, so that needs to be filled in. So I'm going to go in with some Aves epoxy and mix equal measures of part A, part B into a nice fine clay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to push it around the sides, and then we might get some water and smooth it all out, and then we'll leave it to dry.
Later that night.
Okay guys, so now that that's nice and dry, we're going to go in with a livery green from Game Colour, and I'm going to give it a couple of coats so it's all matching.
Silence, you fool!
Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go in with some medium yellow from Model Air.
You blundering fool!
And now I'm going to go in with a sick green, which is a lot darker, again from Game Colour. Okay guys, so you might be thinking, why is he going in and going over the work that he's already done with a darker green? Basically, I just needed it to be like darker on the inside, that would lead out to lighter greens on the outside. It just goes along to give a sense of depth. So I'll give it an all over, one over coat, and then I went over with some just regular water and then just took off some of the paint, and then we lightened up certain areas, and it just goes a long way to make it look more like it's bubbling and flowing rather than just one static colour. And I'm going to go in once again with livery green, but this time I'm going to brighten up the edges. And for the next part, I'm going to add some base coat tone to the skull. So I'm going to use number 61 from Humbrol acrylic paints, which is regular flesh colour. And now that that's dry, I'm going to go in with a mahogany from Model Air, and I'm going to have water it down, and then it's going to act as a wash. And then this is going to get into all the nooks and crannies of the skull, and we can gently dab away the excess, and that'll go a long way to adding depth. So for the next part, I decided to go in with just some regular acrylic white, and I'm going to dab it on a nice stipple brush, and then I'm going to do a dry brush over the skull to bring out some of those highlights. So for the next part, I'm going to go in with some very watered down black, and I'm going to go over all the darker recesses of the skull, and this is going to act as a wash, and we're just going to gently dab away the excess, and this will go a long way to staining the skull. Instagram. Once again, back in with the white acrylic, and then a dry brush highlight. And again, another wash of a watered down brown. So for the next part, I'm going to do some highlighting of some of the more intricate details. So I'm going to go in with a stipple brush and some dark paint, and I'm going to try and get under like the jawbone areas.
What?
Like some of the patterns on the teeth, etc. Same again, just bring some of those lovely details out. And now I'm going to go in with some white from Model Air, and this is going to go ahead and add some highlights to the teeth, so it really separates the ivory teeth from the bone of the skull. And for the next part, I'm going to go in with a medium yellow from Model Air, and we're going to add some highlights to those bubbles. And to make this really pop, I'm going to go in with some yellow fluorescence, and this is from Model Colour, and then it's going to be a general once over coat, and then that should make this pop.
Pop, pop.
Okay guys, so for the next part I'm going to go in with some Mod Podge gloss, and I'm going to do like a stipple effect on top, and then once dry that should make it look like a more like a bubbling liquid. Patreon. And for the next part I'm going to go in with some of this stuff, which is Millie Put Superfine White, and I'm going to go ahead and roll out some balls.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
And then this is going to work as some eyeballs. And now I'm going to go in with some electric blue from Game Colour, and we're going to go ahead and paint the irises. So once those are dried, I then went in with some orange watercolour and then applied this to the eyeballs, and then I went ahead with some clean water and then wiped over the top, and then that makes these look like they are bloodshot eyes.
Pink eye.
And then I went in with more electric blue and I went over the irises just to make them more vibrant. And once those are dried, I went ahead and called this one done. So yeah, as you can see there, it's for 99 pence. I think this challenge has worked rather well. So if you've enjoyed this quick build, please hit that like button, share on Facebook and Twitter, because else do people find the YouTube channel, which I'm always appreciative. Thank you for any help. If you have any comments, comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you want to be a really awesome viewer, please take 5 minutes to check out my Patreon page, where with a bit of help we can do these videos full time rather than part time. So, once again, I'm Francis Gray, and this is my Halloween mini build for 2023. I'll see you in the next one.